what's your reaction to the decision not to cite Stephen Jones?
It's obviously not really consistent with the message that's been sent out, but on the other hand, I look at Stephen, I look at players like Sam Warburton, and there is no intent to do anything other than tackle some guys. So, do I want to see Stephen cited? No. In the rounds of consistency, should it have been? Probably. I think it's something that needs to be cleared off by the RLB regarding these things.
There was a little bit of general unhappiness with the referee from last weekend.
I've talked to a few people after the game regarding it's a different interpretation about how things, if you regard the scrum, I'm probably not as clear now before the game as I was after it regarding what was happening at scrum time, and it's frustrating for all those concerned really. It's any defensive scrum that was penalised in the game on both sides, and I can see by the penalty, so it's not really healthy if you want a decent contest in that area.
Jonathan, do you agree with Jonathan Davis's contention that the game is going soft?
Who said that, sorry?
Jonathan Davis.
What did he say?
He said the game is going soft, with tip tackles and penalising them, etc. Yellow cards.
I think he needs to come down to training. I think he needs to come down pitch side a little bit more to see how much more physical the game is when he was playing 20 years ago. I think it's a comment he probably throws out quite flippantly, as he does with a lot of comments, without really researching the facts. The amount of hits, the amount of physicality that's in the game right now means that players who prospered 20 years ago wouldn't necessarily prosper now.
Do you think, did he mean it like that, or did he mean that the rules are trying to cut out, the rules are such now that they're trying to take out the big hits of rugby, and they should be?
If it's in reference to spear tackling, if it's in reference to people upending people, then I don't think the game's soft. I think you have mismatches in terms of physicality. You have players. If you take Sam Warburton's example, his momentum, his speed, his strength has taken him forward. The guy's flipped over the top of him. But the game is, we're trying to sell this game at grassroots level. We're trying to sell this game to mothers and fathers who don't necessarily want to see that, get away with it. We're trying to maintain the ferocity of the game while probably trying to handle the issues that come with it. And like you say, I don't think the game has gone soft. I think it's a physical game, as you will see with our game on the weekend. And we're just trying to make sure that it stays within the legalities of those.
John, going back to the problems about the scrum, obviously there's a bit of an issue with interpretation. I spoke to Nigel afterwards on the weekend, and Nigel Davis,
right.
And he was basically saying that this is the big area in terms of world rugby where the IRB have got to get a grips with. Remembering the ping pong battle that we used to have a few seasons ago, which seems to have been ironed out. Do you go along with that there's an issue for the IRB that needs to be looked at?
I've always said from day one, I think the issue is, as long as people scrum is square, the majority of those scrums stay up. The issue is when people don't scrum is square. I've been in changing rooms a multitude of times where the referees go in, I want us to scrum is square. When you go on the field and they don't ref it, that's the issue. For me, I think I'm well documented. Tight heads need to scrum is square, and if they don't, you have a multitude of problems. And on the weekend, that was issues.
There are too many rules in rugby.
I think there's too many rules. I think it's I think rugby by nature is a very simple game. We try as coaches, you try to make it as simple as you can, but then trying to make it simple you go the other way, and I'd hate to be a ref these days. There's so many things that go on, it's so quick, so fast, and we're expecting them to referee the general game as it is, and at the same time trying to be experts in an area that they're not. And that's why when it comes to the scrummaging penalties, and they probably won't agree with it, but most of the time they guess. And you know, that's why I think the IRB need to sit down and educate the referees, but there's got to become a point where the referees want to be educated too.
It'd be a case then, Jonathan, that we scrap the scrum like they more or less have done in rugby league, because referees will be just simply not going to be can you educate refs to understand the scrum, or is it such a, you know, you need specialists like yourself refereeing?
You can look into getting, you know, the fourth officials for tries. You can have fourth officials for scrums, but I think, you know, if you're talking about scrapping an area of the game that is integral to it, rugby is different to rugby league for those reasons. Like the scrummage, the art of scrummaging is a battle within itself. You know, I was fascinated with the French-New Zealand game, where the game nearly turned on a scrum. Like if they kick the kick from a penalty that is received off a dominant scrum, they win the game. You know, it's a huge part of the game, and I just think that we sometimes get lost in. I think the IRB can do something in terms of the importance of the hit. I think they could probably have a look at that. But in terms of technically, people need to scrummage square. If they don't scrummage square, then you have issues. And the fact is, they're not refereeing teams who do not scrummage square.
Do you know the pause engage, etc.? Should they scrap and go back to what they used to?
If you wanted to talk about the cadence issues, we could be here for maybe 3 or 4 days. Like, are they commands? Are they instructions? I don't know what they are. Are they an out? So the longer you hold, the more likely someone is to jump. You know, so it's, yeah, there's a multitude of things that they've got to try and sort out, but without lessening the impact a good scrum can have on a game. I think, you know, teams who have a dominant scrum, you know, do it because they work hard at it.
Is Adam fit?
Hopefully, you know, he's going to be touch and go regarding the weekend. He's worked hard in his rehab, so you know, he'll be there or thereabouts. But if he doesn't make this weekend, then he'll certainly make the following week.
Would you at all risk him, given the importance of the game? It's not like an everyday league match, is it? It's Heineken Cup.
Look, Adam's desperate to play. So if he is fit to go, then he will. But we need Adam to be fit to go. We don't need 75% Adam. I don't think anybody needs that. So and most of all, we got to protect him.
How tough do you see this game being?
I think it's going to be, you know, a huge physical battle. I think they've got you know, one of the biggest centre forwards out there. They've got a great set piece. So, you know, they're going to want to come down here. They want to make this game tight, and they're going to want Yashvili to be kicking goals and playing in our area of the game. So, you know, I imagine it's going to be a very physical, very tight game.
Did the Scarlets game help in your preparations for that? You been working on anything particular this week?
No, I thought a local derby before Europe always helps. I think the intensity was good. You know, it's a little bit stop-start. We'd have probably worked with the ball and play a little bit more than that. But, you know, we have to juggle, as the Scarlets do. You know, a lot of boys coming back. We have to juggle, you know, the selection of those. There's a lot of boys who with the main part of our team have been here for 2 weeks. You know, before the you know, one of the biggest competitions of the year. So, you know, that's not ideal. But like I say, we've got to do as best we can with it.
Do you look at, or compare any relevance to Biarritz's form in France, which has been dreadful?
No, it's the same as we didn't pay any relevance to London Irish's form. We played them last year. They lost 10 on the bounce. No, we don't. I think the players they've got coming back are massively important to them. I think they will certainly give them a lot more. So no, I don't think so. I think that this is a different competition, and I expect them to be as physical and as dangerous as they were when we played them two years ago.
What's the ambition to leave up the season, Jonathan?
To get out of our group. I think that's the first stage, mate. I think we're in such a tough group again that we get out of our group and then we can reassess what we need to do. But the first priority for us is to win our home games and hopefully pick up something on the way.
John, I know you don't dwell too much on previous campaigns, but obviously last year you had a great chance in Toulon to pick that away winner, which is so precious in the campaign. How much is that at the back of my mind, the fact that starting well, but obviously nicking that away win as well?
I don't think Toulon is in our minds, and what's in our minds is starting well. It's a home game. We haven't had a first up home game since I've been here. So it's a start at home that can hopefully give us points on the board. But like you say, the pressure comes in that you need to make sure that you're rock solid at home, and then you can build from there. We've got after this game we've got a very difficult trip to Treviso. So those days of picking up bonus points there are gone. So it's a tough group.
Do you have any special plans to handle Nguenia after the tries scored against you?
We're tackling. So I think the idea is probably not to give him too much space, and tackling generally works.
Well, line chains.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what are the strengths of Biarritz got?
Well, they got a huge scrum. They got probably one of the best number 8s in the world. They got a 9 who can control the game for them. The amount of times I've seen them not play particularly well, but still win games, and they have that ability. They're they're extremely physical side. They're probably one of the largest French sides out there, and they come with the same potency of what French sides do. Big scrum, big driving line out, and the ability to score tries with gas out wide. So what's important to us is that we make sure we play in the right areas of the game, and we don't turn over as much ball as we have.
I know you'll say there's no relevance between what happened 2 years ago against Biarritz to what's going to happen this weekend, but losing that game so narrowly, there's those sort of disappointment, that sort of pain that you suffered that day, are they the sort of things that the players carry with them? I
think, not necessarily the pain, but the experiences of it. As I said to you before, Europe's about experiences, and we've got a squad here now who get into an age where we are maturing. We've got all these highs and these lows, and like you say, these disappointments are with us now. They're part of us as a culture. So we're all agreement that we want to push on to the next level. But sometimes the only thing you can do is concentrate on what you have to do now. What we have to do now is win at home, build on it, and get out of our group. And if we do that, we'll shout with the rest of the team.
You've lost a lot of experience, quite a few experienced players over the summer. Is that going to have a detrimental effect?
We've lost some of that experience, granted, but we've also got some in. We've got people like George Stowers, who's been part of a successful London Irish team and a very competitive Samoan team. We've got Khan, who's a very exciting prospect at 9. We're extremely excited about the likes of Ashley Beck, Eli Walker, and all these characters. So it's not nice to lose some of that experience, but on the other hand, we believe that we've got some pretty exciting talent here too.
Given how well you've done, while the guys have been away in New Zealand, is there any selection hiccups, or just parachute them all straight back in?
There's massive selection in it, let me tell you that, and it's, as you said, that we have a morality to the boys who've been here too. It's not necessarily as easy as parachuting people in on the back of 2 weeks. These boys who've been here have been successful. They've worked hard. They've worked as hard as the boys who've been away. So therefore, there's a certain amount of reward for that endeavour, but at a certain point of not penalising people for being away from the environment and doing well for their country. So with it comes huge issues, and I'm sure if you ask some of the other regions who have lost nearly as many players as us, they will have those same problems. With the season being as disjointed as it is, I don't see how this will ever be anything other than a huge headache. So as you can see, that selection is by no means an easy thing. Yeah.
Must be a nice thing to have that, though, isn't it? Imagine.
If we had a 4 or 5 week run up into this game, then selection would be pretty easy. We'd go on form. But right now, it's very difficult to go on form when you've been in different environments. You've had 2-3 weeks off. So that's our dilemma.
Can you take me that of Wales's performances and the form into your thinking with that, or do you look at them completely separately? Say whatever the guys did over there as a team, coming back in, that's sort of irrelevant from your setup. What
you're hoping is that they go on and win it, because they come back with hopefully a lot of momentum, and that's what you hope. You hope they go very, very well. But it is a different way of playing. It is a different environment. So necessarily what they do there is not necessarily what we want to do here. I'm not saying that that's wrong or we're wrong, or it's just different. So to get that balance of it right is tough.
John, I know it cropped up last week, but what was the sort of theory behind the boots and the fake tan ban, or directive, if you like? Is it a discipline thing?
No, it's I sort of came across that a couple of days ago. Look, it's something that what we've said is that we want to get back to the basic working values. That's what we want. And I don't want to make a big issue, because it's not a big issue. It was just something of we wanted to do something here just to get back to our culture. The fact was that people with fake tans, a bit of, like you say, it's a bit of tongue in cheek, but don't have a fake tan here, because generally your working class man doesn't go to spray parlours and spray himself up to go to work. So that's what we don't want. And in terms of the boots, it's a reward. The reward is, once you get past 50 games for the Ospreys, or you play more than a dozen tests for your country, you have the right to wear whatever boots you want. And it's basically a place of a hierarchy of younger kids. Let's aspire to play 50 games for the Ospreys. Let's aspire to play more than a dozen games for our country. And basically then we get up the pecking order a little bit. That's what it's all about, really. And there's nothing more to it than that.
What about their sponsors? About boot manufacturer wants to wear a specific boot, what do you do then?
They've got to play 50 games for us, or a dozen games for their country, and their sponsor then will be jumping up and down them. So what we're saying is, Andy, is that sponsors are going to be not probably knocking on your door if you haven't played 50 games for the Ospreys, or you haven't played a dozen international games. You've probably got a backdoor deal against someone. Well, I'm sure you can push that to the side. And once you've played your 50 games, once you've played your dozen tests, then go outside and do what you want. Fill your boots, but don't have a fake tan.
Why haven't you brought this in a few years ago then?
No, because things change, culture change, things evolve. And sometimes you just want to get back to what you started out being. That's it. And like I say, I really don't want to make a big deal of this, because it's not. It's really not. And by the way, Don, if you've got a genuine tan, you're fine.
What if you've got shaved legs?
Oh, you haven't given away Abbey shaved legs, boy.
What's been the reaction of the players?
None.
No reaction.
No, it's just, as you said, it was part of tongue-in-cheek, part of, come on boys, this is what it is. We'll have a banner up here saying "Ban the tan." It's what is it? It was a couple of boys who were having that done. It's a bit of a laugh. And like you say, when we go to training and you see a young kid who doesn't have the black boots as such, then he's in front of the disciplinary, holding his boots up. Are they potentially black? If not, this. And you see, and it's great because you see young kids out there with black markers going over their boots, which they bought. So they're out there trying to black their boots out, and it shows, you know, there is a hierarchy. There is reward for those who get on and are successful.
It's very dangerous, a little bit insulting to younger players coming up thinking that that's what drives them to be successful. I mean, I see some of them sit around and say, well, do you know what, I don't give a monkey's about whether I've got coloured boots or not, but I'm being made to feel like I should.
As I said, it's blown up the wrong proportion. It's part of like, okay boys, here we are, this is what we are. Okay, come on, buy into this. And like you say, once some kid's had his 50th game for the Ospreys, he'll be out there in a pair of white boots because he's earned that right to do that. It's just trying to earn the right. And you know, that's sometimes what sport's about. It's trying to earn the right to be.
Jonathan, it is learning like a back, almost like you said, like being in school. And they're a bit, you know, and these kids a bit more mature than that.
Some of them are. Some of them are in school. Some of them have just come out of school. And those who have been here for a period of time, they're no longer in that equation. Sometimes the values that come with being working class, and is that what we want to be? Like
working class,
the majority of people, this region stands for those values. This region represents the steelworks. This represents BOC and Marga. This represents the road sweepers. It doesn't represent people in banks. It doesn't represent city slickers. It doesn't. This is what this region represents. And we've got to be vigilant in saying that we represent those values. Now these boys may get paid more than people who do these industries, but their values are the same. We want to connect with the people who come and see us. We don't want to be part of something that the media make us out to be, which we're not, which is galacticos and all this sort of nonsense. We never were those things.
Going back to the Heineken Cup then, when you look at the squad that the Ospreys have had, really since their formation, should you have gone further than the quarter-final? Have you almost underachieved with the squad that you've had?
You know, it's a difficult one to answer, because we do have a lot of representatives in the Welsh team, and a lot of those representatives in the Welsh teams have not been that successful. When Wales have been successful, we've been successful. Now, when you come to the Heineken Cup, there's a lot of teams out there with a lot more money and a lot bigger squads who are trying to win the same competition. So we're aware of that. Have we underachieved? Have we had chances to go further? Yes, we have, and we haven't taken those. So have we underachieved? I think there's no understating our desire to be more successful in this competition.
Final question then, guys.
Why do you think that Welsh clubs have to be more prominent in the competition overall?
I think, you know, the regional concept of this is still quite young in terms of this competition, and some of these teams have underperformed. Some of these regions have been in different stages of their development. I think the Scarlets now are probably far stronger than they've ever been. I think they are a force in this competition. So, you know, it's different stages of evolution. And hopefully when the 4 regions become settled and strong, then hopefully we'll have a better showing in this competition.
How the Irish guys are,
I think they've done well because the stage of their players, I think they've had mature players. I think they've had experienced players throughout this, and I think they have been excellent in this competition. And it's what we all aspire to be. And we do. We all aspire to be like a Leinster who can quite easily sort of infiltrate their players back from being international players back to their club system. And it's something that we struggle with, mate. And if you ask me why, I don't know. Something that every year we're trying to get better at.